Well, week one's officially in the books, and it looks like I'm homeless. Because holy fuck, did I get worked this week one. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's recap all the games, and let's see where we all went wrong. Okay, we're going to start off with the Thursday night kickoff game, which was the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. And this game, I felt like had a little bit of everything. It was, in a sense, perfect. It was just perfect. Right? You had fumbles, you had interceptions, you had great offense, back and forth great offense, and a game that came down to the very last play in which the Ravens essentially lost or, didn't tie it up by a toe. Isaiah Likely looking like KD up in this bitch, but I made money on this game. Like I said, I waited to get this game live after Baltimore went and scored the first touchdown. I live bet Kansas City. Got them at a good little price, plus money on straight up. And, Chiefs did their thing. They looked good. They looked really, really good. Offense looked amazing. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is Mahomes. But we need to talk about Rasheen Rice and Xavier Worthy. Rice is a wide receiver one. This guy is a true wide receiver one. You get the ball in this man's hands, and he's going to make things happen. Chiefs have an absolute stud on their hands as long as this motherfucker doesn't get arrested or do any of that stupid shit. Right? Now Xavier Worthy. These guys just got Tyreek Hill Jr. It's unbelievable. Who let these bums draft this? The Bills are the reality who we should be blaming for this shit. Because the Chiefs with Xavier Worthy is OP. I mean, it's just straight OP. The guy is ridiculously fast. He can catch the ball. You can bring him out of the backfield. He's like the Swiss Army knife. It's unbelievable. Chiefs are in great position. Mahomes' voodoo magic is working again. It looks like they're going to win the Super Bowl for a third straight time, and they're going to create history going on the three-peat. Great job, Kansas City. Great fucking job. But the loser of this game was Lamar Jackson, without a question in my mind. Lamar Jackson is a fucking running back. He's a glorified running back who can't do shit. He could not complete a pass out there. Before that Isaiah Likely, touchdown or not touchdown at the very end of the game, Lamar missed two, not one, two wide open receivers in the end zone for the tying up touchdown. Zay Flowers was wide open in the back of the end zone, and Lamar just completely missed through the guy. Completely. This guy sucks. He's a running back, and he will never win a Super Bowl like this. Will the Ravens be good this year? Fuck yeah, they're going to be good. They got a really good offense, well-balanced offense, right? You could throw the ball, you could run the ball, but Lamar cannot get the ball down the field. Period. Right? You'll win against the shittier teams, but when you're going to match up against these type of teams like Kansas City, that can play you better than you can play, no chance. Great win, Kansas City. Lamar's a running back. Let's move on to the next game. Okay. The next game, we have the Green Bay Packers versus Philadelphia in Brazil. Thank God, nobody was arrested. Nobody was kidnapped. But overall, another great game. This game was just absolute madness. 1 second it looks like the Packers are winning. The next second looks like the Eagles are winning. It's back and forth, nonstop action. Great win by Philly. Great win by Philly. I got my pick wrong here, unfortunately. And I truly did think the Packers were winning this game and were going to win this game throughout the entirety of it. But the Eagles just turned up when they needed to turn up. And that was the difference. And to a certain extent, it felt like the Eagles' experience is what gave them the benefit over the Packers. Again, Jalen Hurts did not look good. He can't throw the ball. Like, he has these weird moments where he makes these horrendous mistakes that are going to cost Philly badly in this season. I know it for a fact. Philly's going to end up losing some games they have no business losing to the Giants, to the Commanders, something like that, where it's going to be a bullshit loss. But overall, this team is capable of doing everything we thought they can, right? They run the ball effectively. They can move the ball effectively if Jalen Hurts is accurate, right? Because A.J. Brown's a stud, Devontae's a stud, Goddard's a stud. You got a great team. It's no question. And Saquon, holy fuck. Saquon looked amazing in his debut. 3 total touchdowns is absolutely unbelievable. Shout out to Saquon. And I can't believe the New York Giants let this guy walk for nothing. Eagles are making them look stupid. Overall, great win by the Eagles. Praying for Jordan Love. I heard it's an MCL sprain, not a tear. So he should be back later this season. Let's hope the Packers can stay afloat, win a couple games to make sure they're still in the playoff range when he gets back. Because let's be honest, Malik Willis is kind of trash. And when I say kind of, I mean he is full-blown fucking garbage. It's going to be a miracle if they win a game, but shit, maybe Malik Willis comes out there and balls. Great win, Philly. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, now we're on to the Sunday games. And we have this very first game that I want to talk about, the Patriots versus the Bengals. The Bengals were the biggest favorites of the week. The biggest favorites of the week. 8-point favorites. Not only did they not cover, they lost outright to the Patriots. Turnover after turnover. Touchdown gets called back for the Bengals. Turnover the very next play. When they're returning a kick return, turnover, fumbles left and right. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. How in the world did the Bengals lose to the Patriots? We all knew the Bengals start slow. It's like a part of their motto, right? To start slow. Every year for the last 3 years since they made that Super Bowl, they've started so slow. But I mean, this was the most embarrassing loss of them all. And most embarrassing by far. Patriots are, without question, the worst team in the league. They have the weakest roster, and yet they made Bengals look like they're bitches. Bengals receivers were locked up. They couldn't make any separation, and they could not do anything against this Patriots defense. This is looking like a Patriots defense from 10 years ago, and it's nowhere near that level. They ran the ball down the Bengals' throats, and Joe Burr, Slim Shady Jr., he's got to get his head in the fucking game. As well as Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, because the drama, the problems, and just this team overall needs a lot of work. Losing to the Patriots week 1 is bad. Their season is not over. It's early. They'll have time to bounce back, as we saw the last 2 years. But this was outright embarrassing. Outright embarrassing. The biggest favorites of the week being embarrassed. Not only just embarrassed, just getting beat the fuck down by the Patriots. That was horrendous. Bengals, do better. Good shit, Patriots. And Patriots fans, you better enjoy this win, because I guarantee you there's not going to be more of that to come from. This is going to be the peak of the season and the highlight of the season. Enjoy your victory Mondays, but by next week it'll all be over and the fairy tale will end. All right, let's move on to the next game. The Vikings at the Giants. This game, not too much to talk about. I got my pick right. I got my bet right. I bet Vikings money line. I knew Darnold was going to have a rejuvenation year. Darnold looked fantastic out there. He was moving the ball well. Addison played well. Justin Jefferson played well. Aaron Jones played amazing. This Vikings offense looked pretty competent. The Vikings defense looked good as well, but I feel like it's difficult to judge that Vikings defense when they're playing fucking Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a bum. Get this man as far away from the NFL as possible. He's not even good enough to play at the CFL level, let alone NFL. This guy should be in the mountains coaching mountain football. Forget about fucking NFL. This man is nowhere near the level of an NFL quarterback. He is incompetent. This offense is incompetent. They have no receivers, no run game. And quite frankly, with the Patriots winning, it looks like the Giants are going to give them quite a big run for their money as the worst team in the league. Because 28-6 is just absolutely embarrassing. Minnesota was clicking on all cylinders and looked better on them in every single aspect of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Giants should be embarrassed. Giants should feel ashamed of themselves for this performance. They have a lot of work to do. And hey, I'm just rooting for Sam Darnold. I hope he continues to go out there and ball and keep winning games like he did last week. Prove to them that this shit was not a fluke. Giants are shit, but you are actually a good quarterback on an actual good team. All right, let's move on to the next game. Steelers at Falcons. Weird game. Weird game. Kirk looked horrible. Absolutely horrible. And this was quite a defensive matchup in which obviously the Steelers are going to win. In any case where you're going to play a defensive style matchup, Steelers are going to beat most of the teams in this entire league, without a doubt, right? So Falcons resorting to this defensive style, was it that Kirk Cousins was still recovering from his Achilles injury and may have not been fully rehabbed and needed time to adjust? Potentially, but man, oh man, Falcons better start playing well and Kirk Cousins better start playing well because Michael Penix is knocking at that door and he's going to come in and he's going to take Kirk's spot easily. So Kirk Cousins, shape the fuck up because you're going to lose your job. Good job by the Steelers doing what they always do, which is just pulling out the win. They just always manage to pull out the win. Great job. Defense wins championships. If that offense can be semi-competent, which lucky enough for them, Justin Fields is now starting and that idiot Russell Wilson or Danger Russ is on the bench. With Fields starting, he can run the ball. He can throw it, kind of. You have an interesting dynamic where Fields, Warren, and Najee in the backfield is so dangerous and allows you to create so many different looks that could confuse defenses. Good shit, Steelers. Starting off the season right, and if I'm not mistaken, the only AFC North team to win. Steelers to win the North? We'll see. All right, now we're going to move on to these games in which, this is where your boy got killed. The Tennessee Titans versus the Chicago Bears. As somebody who had Tennessee +4 and Tennessee money line, I was on the verge of tears yesterday. The verge of fucking tears. They were winning 17-0. Nothing the Bears were doing was right. They lost 24-17. They didn't lose. They failed to cover the spread after beating the Bears by 17 points for the majority of the game. Caleb Williams looked like the fruity bust that I said he's going to be. The man sucks ass. And if the fucking Titans didn't blow this shit as badly as they did, everybody would be talking about how bad Caleb is. And I'm still going to fucking talking about it because you guys know I fucking hate Caleb. He's a bum. He's trash and will not succeed in the NFL level. No fucking chance. No chance. Did you see the performance he put out there? And the Titans defense is not that good. They're mediocre, but they're not that good. Caleb is a bum. And Titans and Will Levis just gifted him the game. They said, here you go, just take the win. Will Levis throwing a pick six and falling to his knees. I mean, what do I have to say for this? Titans, you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. This game, nobody won. Period. The Titans did not win, and neither the Bears. Just because there's a W on the Bears record does not mean anything. Titans were horrible. Bears were horrible. But hey, the Bears defense, Bears special teams won them this game. So, if anything, like we all expected, this season is going to be carried by the Bears defense, clearly. But let me explain to you guys something. This will not happen again. The Bears will not win a game like this. And quite frankly, I can't wait till they play the Texans next week and get fucking embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. Because this team is not good. Caleb sucks balls. And he will not succeed in this league. I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm going to keep pounding my fist. I'm never betting on the Titans again. This team is abysmal. I hate you, Tennessee. How the fuck did you not cover this spread? And fuck Caleb Williams, too. All right, now let's move on to the second bullshit game. Cardinals at Bills. You guys know I had Cardinals winning this game straight up. And I know you guys were sitting there sweating. Cardinals were winning 17-3 at one point in this game. 17-3. I'm sitting there with my feet kicked back thinking it's easy money. Cardinals plus 6.5. Cardinals straight up. These motherfuckers barely covered. They barely covered the spread. They lost by 6. 28-34. They lost by 6. They covered by a half point. And again, I'm grateful that the Cardinals did cover because at one point it was looking like they were going to lose and not cover. but goddamn. Midget Murray played a great game, but he can't see over his offensive lineman. Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open for a game-winning touchdown, and Midget Murray just completely missed the guy. Missed him completely. Complete embarrassment. Bills' offense looks good. Defense has a lot of questions. This Bills' defense is not as good as years prior, and it's going to be a problem for them. Teams that are going to finish against them are going to finish them hard, and they're going to finish all over them. Bills are mid. That's the best I could say. Fantastic offensive performance, but they're going to play better teams and they're going to lose these better games. Maybe they'll squeak into the playoffs, but they need to have a much, much better performance next week than they did against the Cardinals. Because, again, similar to the Titans-Bears game, Cardinals gave that game away. Completely gave that game away. Cardinals should have beat the Bills. I should have been here doing my fucking happy dance, but instead I'm fucking sitting here explaining why these bitch-ass Cardinals lost. Motherfucker. Midget Murray, bro needs to start fucking doing something or stretching, doing some extra stretches and shit, because he needs to grow a couple more inches to see over his offensive lineman to make sure to get the passes up, because what the fuck? Cardinals played decent. I'm not completely out on the Cardinals like I am on the Titans. They'll play worser teams, and I'll probably be able to make some money on them because they are pretty good. The offense does look pretty good. 28 points is nothing too shabby. They look good enough. All right, let's move on. Jaguars at Dolphins. Again, weird game. Tyreek damn near got arrested before this shit even started. But, you know, what's there to say? Jaguars blew this one badly. Thank God I had the Dolphins in this one. Jaguars were up the majority of the game, and then right when it mattered, the Dolphins just turned the fuck up. 80-yard touchdown by Tyreek was a thing of beauty. They started clicking offensively. Defense turned the fuck up. And they won the game 20-17. Again, one of those weird games where both teams lost. It was a bad performance on both sides of the ball. Jaguars couldn't finish the job like always. Surprise, surprise. Throwback to last year. And Dolphins pulled out the very end in a very sloppy performance in which they should have won much bigger than they did. I don't really have too much of an analysis on this game. I'm going to have to see how both of these teams fare in week 2 to really, evaluate both sides. Again, both teams lost. Now let's go to a game in which both teams actually won, which was Texans and the Colts. Because even though on paper the Texans are the winners, god damn, the Colts looked really good. Offensively, Anthony Richardson was amazing. He was able to move the ball. He's able to run the ball. He's able to throw the ball deep. I'm excited for both of these teams. Both of these teams are looking like legit playoff teams that can do some big fucking things this season. Again, Colts covered the spread. I had Colts to cover and to win, but Colts did cover, so I did finish on top there. Thank God, right? CJ Stroud looked like the man. Stephon looks good. Tank looks good. Nico looks good. Mixon looks good. Texans are real contenders. They're one of the best teams, if not, in my view, the second best team in the AFC behind the Chiefs, right? And Colts are right there with them. An unbelievable offensive performance. I'm expecting big things from this Colts team, just like I'm expecting big things from this Texans team. Let's move on to the next one, where it's Panthers at Saints. The fact that I picked the fucking Panthers to cover the spread and to win was unreal. They lost by 37 points. They lost by 37 points! The Saints damn near put 50 on their heads in week fucking 1. Week 1. What an embarrassment. Bryce Young looks like an absolute bust. What a horrible pick. Offensive line, non-existent. Offense, non-existent. Defense, non-existent. This team is a mess and have made zero improvement from last year, and they have so much to work on. I'm done talking about the Panthers. I'm done even picking the Panthers until further notice. Saints, on the other hand, Derek Carr proved me wrong. He looked unbelievable. They were able to spread the ball out, move the ball well. Tight ends were getting involved, receivers, run game. But again, are we going to sit here and say the Saints are good because they beat the shitty-ass Panthers? I'm not. Maybe you are, but I'm not. Saints are not good yet. They need to prove to me that they can beat the legit teams before I say they're actually good this year or actually going to be decent. Because until recently, Derek Carr sucks balls. And in my eyes, he still sucks balls. I need to see more from this Saints team in terms of the level of competition. Panthers are abysmal. Send them to the XFL. The season's over already. And here we could put up a graphic. Panthers season's done. You can officially eliminate them from playoff contention. They are trash. Now let's go to the Raiders versus Chargers game. This game was... How the fuck? Raiders, it felt like, gave this game away, right? They gave the game away. They were winning, up, if I'm not mistaken, by 2 points. Or they were up by 5. They were up right before halftime. They were winning. And Gardner Minshew just throws a backward pass for some fucking reason. Recovered by the Chargers. Lucky it wasn't recovered for a touchdown, but led to the Chargers scoring a field goal. From that point on, everything just went downhill from the Raiders. Everything just went downhill. I don't know why I picked the Raiders. I picked them more so that it was Jim Harbaugh's first game back, and I was worried how the Chargers offense would gel together. But let's keep it real. Gardner Minshew is the biggest finesser in the NFL. Bigger than Deshaun Cosby. Because every time the man gets paid and the man becomes a starter, he sucks. He absolutely sucks. What do I expect from this Raiders team? Not much this year, but I thought they would be able to beat the Chargers. I thought they'd be able to put up a fight. Embarrassment. Now, as for this Chargers team, they looked very, very good out there and impressed me a lot. Let's start with the offense. Herbert did his thing, but the key to this Chargers win, without a doubt in my mind, was J.K. Dobbins. The man balled out. He ran all over that Raiders defense. And the Raiders D is not bad at all. At all. In addition to the spectacular offensive performance, the defense did exactly what they're capable of. And that is why this team played so well. They only scored 22 points. They won 22-10. But it was a great game on every aspect. The defense locked down when they needed to lock down. Offense needed clutch first downs. They got clutch first downs. Harbaugh clearly is a great coach. I mean, I'm saying that like it's not fucking obvious. The man has done fantastic things at everywhere he has gone to, and he's going to do the same thing with the Chargers. Clearly, this is a new era in LA, a better era in LA, and a competent era in LA. What else are you going to say? What else are you going to say? Herbert keeps playing the way he plays, where he doesn't have to be the man, he has to be the quarterback, right? Great run game, great defense. They'll do whatever the hell they want this year. They're better than the Raiders, and they're going to have an actual playoff team if they continue at this level. Because at this point in time, Raiders look abysmal, while the Chargers actually look competent, which I thought was going to be the reverse, especially considering Raiders have a good defense. Raiders do have a good defense. Forget about their offense. Raiders have a pretty good defense. And they just couldn't stop the run for the life of them. They limited Herbert to a certain extent, but again, how are you going to limit the guy when the run game's clicking on all cylinders? I'd rather just hand the fucking ball off and let the running backs cook and win the game for me than rely on Herbert. Great win by the Chargers. Raiders, you got a lot to work on, but I still have faith in you. Now we move on to the Broncos versus Seahawks. And this is actually one of the games I actually got correct because I had the Broncos to cover, but the Seahawks to win, which is exactly what happened. And the reality is that this is a loss for both teams. Simple as that. Both teams lost here. The Broncos were abysmal. Bo Nix could not complete a pass down the field. 10 yards down the field, the man has 0 completions. He's literally straight garbage. Somehow, some way, the Broncos only lost by 6. This means that the Seahawks should be ashamed of themselves. These teams are both terrible. They're going to be irrelevant pieces of garbage by week 5. I mean, seriously, there's zero expectation for me for either of these teams to make the playoffs. Broncos are a lottery team. They're going to go be picking top 5. Zero, no question about that. And the Seahawks just looked bad. Defense did not look good. Offense did not look good. To beat the Broncos by 6 points is not an accomplishment. Both of these teams lost, and I'm done talking about this game. What's there to talk about? It's a snooze fest like I knew it was going to be, and a complete and utter disappointment for the Broncos, which we kind of expected, but also more so of a disappointment for the Seahawks. You got to win better than that, and you got to convince me that you're an actual good team. On paper, the defense is decent, on the offense is pretty good as well, but clearly they have some clicking to do and adjusting, because this is not it. And if you're losing to the Broncos, if you're beating the Broncos by only 6 points, then you're going to be losing to a lot of other teams that are much, much better than the Broncos. Now let's move on to the game that made me homeless. Commanders versus Buccaneers. And let me say that Commanders did not play bad here. They really did not. The issue was more so the defense than the offense. Jayden Daniels looked very, very good, and he played very, very well. Overall, he's a very good passer, but most importantly, he's extremely patient runner. And that's why he's going to have success in this league, because he's not too jumpy and he's going to do what he needs to do when needed, right? If the Commanders' defense didn't allow all those field goals in the beginning of the game, I should say the first half, then the Commanders would have either won or kept it much closer than it was. The reality was that Baker was just driving down the field over and over and over on this Commanders defense, and they couldn't do a fucking thing about it. Commanders could not stop a fucking nosebleed. And it was the reason they lost, without question. Now, even though I'm not giving as much credit to the Buccaneers offense as I should, I will say they looked very, very, very impressive. Baker Mayfield is better than Deshaun Cosby. He has been lights out this season and last. And most importantly, the consistency of this offense is unmatched. Mike Evans is going to have another 1,000-yard season. That's already wrapped up. And Chris Godwin, if he manages to stay healthy, this team is going to go to the playoffs. They're going to be a real playoff team, and will fuck up some teams along the way that you think are much better than they are. They on both sides of the ball, they strive, right? You have the offense with Baker, Evans, and Godwin, who's going to cook most offenses in this league. And the defense is good, right? Because even though Commanders scored 20 points, defense did what they had to do. Commanders scored a bunch of the garbage time points as well, so the number is meaningless to the final score. But Buccaneers defense, Buccaneers offense looked great. I'm excited for the Buccaneers team. I really am. They're going to win their division. They're going to fuck up a lot of good teams. Commanders, on the other hand, I'm still excited for too. Even though the defense is a shit show, I love Jayden Daniels. The guy is really him. And even though it's going to be a lot tougher now, I still think they have the capability of winning the NFC East. I do. I know it sounds crazy, but I really do think they can still win it. They just need to tighten up on defense just a bit. If they tighten that D up, this team is truly on the level in which I envision them. And as long as Daniels keeps doing what he's doing, and he will because he's a superstar, Commanders have a bright future. Both of these teams have a very bright future. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. Now we're going to talk about the Cowboys versus the Browns. And what an embarrassment. This game was over before it even started. There wasn't a point during this entire game in which I thought the Browns had a chance. It was crazy. Deshaun Cosby is the biggest finesser in American history. The fact that this man is being paid $230 million is asinine. Absolutely asinine. The man is clearly more busy focused on his massages and his happy endings than playing football because the offense looked abysmal. Nothing. Run game was piss poor. Play calling was piss poor, which I know isn't Deshaun Cosby's fault, but nevertheless. And the passing game was horrendous. Horrendous. Cowboys defense was lockdown, and they're good defense, but not to the level where Browns look awful, considering Sleepy Joe Flacco was cooking up teams left and right last year with the same Browns offense. If anything, Sleepy Joe Flacco's offense was worse than this offense. Absolute embarrassment on the part of the Browns. They should be ashamed of themselves, and they have to look at themselves in the mirror real hard and real long. Because is Stefanski it? Is Deshaun it? And is this team's chemistry where it needs to be? Because as of right now, it seems like this team is very dysfunctional. And whatever it may be that they need to fix it, they better fix it fast. Because they have a tough division and a tough schedule. And they're not making the playoffs, so they're going to continue playing like the shit they did last week in week 1. As for the Cowboys, what else is there to say? Dak got paid. He finally got paid, right? CD got paid. And the only person left to get paid is Micah, which they'll figure out, I'm sure. But overall, they looked hungry, right? Dak looked amazing out there. Dots left and right. CD looked good. Brandon Cooks looked good. Ferguson, even though he got injured, looked good. Even fucking Zeke, who's 1,000,000 years old and fat as a motherfucker, is still going out there and cooking defenses. I'm not entirely sold on the Cowboys just yet. And the reality is that no matter how we perceive it or how we take it, we are in the beginning stages of the Cowboy cycle. It's week 1. They go out there. They beat the fuck out of their opponent. All of a sudden, everybody's like, oh my God, Cowboys are for real this year. Them boys. It's really them boys this year. But I'm not judging this team until I see some playoff success. They could go out there and they could win the rest of their fucking regular season games. If they do not go out and win at least 1 or 2 playoff games, it's the same failure every single year. I don't know what to believe with this Cowboys team. Did they look good out there? Yes. Great offense? Yes. Great defense? Yes. It's the same shit every year. We said the same thing last year. The exact same thing last year. And look what happened. So I have no evaluation of this Cowboys team until I see playoff success. Good win, but at this point in time, it's meaningless because we all know you're going to choke just like you always do. Now to Sunday Night Football. And this game was much closer than I expected it to be. For a hot second there, Rams really looked like they were going to pull the upset off and beat the Lions. Because the way the game started, right, Lions looked much better. They took a pretty early, decent lead. And from that point on, you thought it was over. And then Rams just out of nowhere make the comeback. All of a sudden, it's late fourth quarter, and the Rams are winning 20-17. The Lions go 3 and out after that at 2017, and you're sitting there thinking, holy fuck. Rams are going to win this game. They're going to win this fucking game. Now, lucky for the Lions, poor clock management on the part of the Rams. Lions got the ball back. They ended up kicking the game-tying field goal, going to overtime, winning the overtime toss, getting the ball, and just driving straight down the field, right? That overtime drive was a thing of beauty by the Lions and is the living, breathing definition of how the Lions need to win every fucking game this year. David Montgomery just took the ball and ran it straight down the throats on that Rams defense. He was shoving that rock down their fucking throat every single time. The Rams D was gassed. They couldn't do a thing, and you were just running it over and over again. This is what this Lions team should be built on. The Gibbs-Montgomery run game opens up the passing game for Goff to get it to Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The offense of the Lions is stacked. They are on the level of contender. We all know that. They're one of the, if not the, best team in the league. They are going to go far in the playoffs, and they are going to potentially win the Super Bowl. With an offense like this, most certainly. Does the defense need to tighten up a bit? Yes. Now, even though they were this close to losing to the Rams, how can I be disappointed? The offense was spectacular. And the reality was that the Lions did not play bad here. It's just the Rams played unbelievable football. And if they're going to continue playing like this, the Rams are going to make the playoffs and continue to replicate the same success they've somehow managed this whole time during the McVay era. Truly, truly, truly. Stafford looked great. Cooper Kupp looked great. The run game looked like it was serviceable. And the defense was where it lacked a bit. But I think if the Rams can tighten up that D, then they'll be right there amongst the best of the best. Truly, truly, truly. Puka Nacua did get injured, and it is a bit concerning because he's on IR already. Hopefully he can come back and Rams don't lose too many games because obviously you need a weapon like Puka Nacua. But overall, I think both of these teams won. It's not that the Rams lost, Lions won. Rams played good enough to win. And even though on paper they did not get the win, they should be going into that locker room motivated, telling themselves, we are a good fucking team and we are capable of beating the best of the best. And that should be their motivation heading into every single game. And with that, they should win a lot more than they lose. Both of these teams, I was very impressed by. Great offensive display. Even though it was a very relatively low scoring, 20-26, the offenses were textbook football. And man, this Lions team is fun to watch, as is the Rams, right? Matthew Stafford has to beat the cuck allegations. Has to. And that's going to be his motivation for playing well. And that's my recap for Sunday night. Let's go to Monday. Well, the Jets got fucking embarrassed. What else is new? I mean, what a fucking shit show. The 1 year where you're thinking, damn, we finally have a competent offense. If Rodgers can stay healthy, we can actually be pretty good this year. But nope. Last year, the year before that, and even the year before that, the defense has absolutely carried us. They were nowhere to be found. They were nowhere to be found yesterday. They lost us this game. Not only did they lose us this game, but most importantly, these motherfuckers could not stop a nosebleed. I mean, shit. I could have been playing running back for the Niners and fucking beat this dumbass Jets team. What the fuck was that? Just imagine if CMC was playing. If CMC was playing, the game would have been over by fucking halftime. But even then, it pretty much was. Absolutely disgusting defensive performance. The fact that the Jets had about 15 or whatever it was, 16, 17 minutes of possession time is horrendous. Horrendous. Niners beat the Jets in every aspect of the game. They dominated the clock. First down after first down. They would go on long, methodical drives and just destroy the Jets like that. The defense could not stop them if their life fucking depended on it. Absolute embarrassment. I can't believe for a second I thought the Jets were actually going to win this game. When CMC was announced out, I thought it was lights out. Jets are actually going to win. Rodgers is going to go out there and ball. Now, the one positive of this game is the fact that Rodgers actually looked pretty good. He was putting all the balls right on the money. He was making his great plays like he always does. He caught the defense sleeping with an offside penalty to score a touchdown to Lazard. That is the Rodgers that I expected to see. But the defense was an absolute no-show. The defense was still in New York. They forgot there's a game on in San Francisco. Absolute embarrassment. Robert Saleh, your ass is on the hot seat because you got completely outcoached. Completely outcoached by Shanahan. And your ass better get shaped the fuck up because this defense is your specialty. And it looked horrific. Horrific. This is just going to be another season of suffering like it always is. But that's not here nor there. As for the 49ers, they looked fantastic. Still in their Super Bowl form. No hangover whatsoever. I mean, it was quite impressive, honestly. Right? Because you have Purdy was putting the ball right on the money like he always does. You had the running back play great. Juwan Jennings is a real threat. Debo looked good. Great win for the Niners. They look dangerous as ever. And the Jets, look shit like usual. What else is there to say? That was week 1. Week 2 is coming up. See you next time.